So after considering the amazing things of who and what we are in Christ, we have started considering the things that sort of threaten this, that are the enemies of all these things that go against it. And we mentioned shame that would keep us away from believing that we actually belong in Christ. And then we have spoken about fear as another enemy of who we are in Christ. We don't necessarily think of these things as enemies of who we are in Christ. We think of them as natural things that just happen in our lives, shame, fear. And they do. It's a part of our psyche. We are made this way to feel these things. And sometimes they can be meaningful. I mean, if I'm doing something shameful, I should realize that and I should stop doing it, obviously. If there is something that threatens me, then fear is not a bad thing to turn away from it and go away, obviously. But on the other hand, these, when they come to walking in faith and living in who we are in Christ, they are truly our enemies, because fear tells us that we are not safe in Christ, that in the beginning of our Christian walk, it sort of tells us the lie that Christ is not strong enough and we have much to fear of, and he's not strong enough to protect us. Later in the Christian life, when we will have seen so much of God working and dealing and helping and changing and saving and protecting, then the lie becomes something else. It becomes this, you cannot be sure that you can trust Christ to protect you. Maybe he protects some special people, some amazing Christians, but you're not like that. You know that. The amazing Christians, yes, but not you. And this is amazing, because of course, God tells us, and this is Luke 12, verse 32, Jesus said to his disciples, who were just a bunch of average people at that point. They were the apostles, but really at that time it didn't mean much as far as their understanding went, or their their insight into things that God has for them, or God, or who God has made them to be, because later they understood that. But in Luke 12:32, he said to them, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." And this encouragement is to us, that Jesus is saying, don't worry, in the most important things, you have nothing to fear of. Nothing can threaten your place in me. Nothing can threaten who you are in me. Nothing can take away the things that I want to give you. And okay, maybe he doesn't want to give us everything that we would like. This is where so many people who pray with great faith for things that they want, they go off as believers. They pray with amazing faith for things that they want. But the question, does God want it in my life? Is it God's will? Never enters in their heart. And many times they are very disappointed, because then they realize they don't get it, and then they think the problem is with their faith, when in reality it was not with their faith, but what they placed their faith in. And see, this is where this fear thing is such an enemy of who we are in Christ, because it fights against faith, and it tells us you cannot trust him. But Jesus says, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." So we have our troubles and struggles, but Jesus' encouragement to us is, listen, God will give you all the things that he wants for you. And actually, in John 10, he says, 38, those verses, no one can take you out of my hand. No one can take you out of my Father's hand. There's great safety in those verses and in those truths. And this is what we need to take hold of, because fear needs to be fought in our lives. Not that I'm going to be brave and I'm not going to be afraid, but through another means, and that is, I choose faith and I seek faith, and I'm going to trust God, and that will remove fear from the way. And of course, there is one more way that probably tomorrow we can talk about. But until then, God bless you. God bless your day with the Lord.